It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's the handwritten letters from home. It's the sleepless nights alone. Newborn baby you left at your wife. It's the red, white, and blue. Lay down his life. It's the red, white, and blue. While these stars in the stripes. From the hills of Indiana, from the swamps of Louisiana, to the golden coast of California. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, while these stars in the stripes.
Battle on the Homefront TV, new show every week. Make sure you subscribe. Big shout out to my sponsors as well. Tracy Morrill is here.
Hi.
How are you?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm all right.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I got to be on your show last week, so I'm happy to return the favor.
Yes.
So.
And I was there when you recorded your first show, I remember.
I know. Yeah, if you didn't know this, Battle on the Homefront TV, it started off at the Republican Party headquarters.
Yes.
And we did a lot of shows up there, and I'd like to see where that continued. I know they were putting on a monthly event for us every month. I'd love to continue that. It was great.
Yes.
Absolutely. But please give us a little
Yes.
time and service, and we're going to jump into it. Is it PTSD Awareness Month?
Yes, it is.
There you go. We're
All
gonna get into all that.
Definitely. So I'm Tracy. I was in the Air Force for 11 and a half years. I went to MacDill. I went to Mountain Home, and then I stopped here at Oklahoma, and I got medically retired here. And I stayed here because I love it here. I love Oklahoma, and I love my country, and I'm a proud veteran, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
you are. Yeah, you've been one of my supporters for a
Yes.
while, so I'm grateful.
yes, because I believe in what you're doing, because our men and women in uniform don't have a voice. So we have to be their voice, and we have to just keep being it, because they can't talk about why they got so drunk every day that last month. They don't want to talk about it. They just want to keep getting drunk, right? So now I don't have to just sit there and be quiet. I can help them and try to get them the help they need by saying, I'm listening, and I'm going to keep pushing these people to stop bringing my brothers and sisters overseas. I'm just not about it. So
Yeah, I love it. You got a good mission.
yes.
So please, let's. I know we previously talked
Yes.
before this, so let's get into.
All right, so we're going to talk about my why. So my dad was a Vietnam veteran, right out of high school, Army.
Yep.
That's why I didn't join the Army. Infantry. So if you can imagine, Vietnam. Here's a little picture of him before. He was a, government, political stuntman, basically. No one wants to get political, but he was political. You were political. I was political, right?
Yep.
We still are. Well, my dad went to prison, federal prison, when I was about 3.5 years old. So I'm just going to read you a little excerpt of what he wrote me. And so one thing I'm big about is 98% of veterans in prison are males. 98%.
1 out of 10 is a veteran, if you didn't know that.
I didn't, but I believe it. And they're mostly violent criminals, too. I wonder why that is. Okay. So a buddy of mine just rode in last week. He's been down in Virginia for a year. Michigan is renting space so they can house prisoners down there. I don't know if I told you or not. They had me going to school just one class at a time. I had to send the Army to get my records, saying I graduated in 70. Almost 30 years ago. Well, anyways, they took me out of school. I wish they had some kind of college courses I could take, but not here. I was just on my way outside, and they had closed down the yard. I don't know why they do that. They do the dumbest things around here. They took our horseshoes. That's what I was doing most of the time. around here. But now, talk about boring. So I bring that up because you have all these men in jail, all these violent men in jail. You take away everything from them. They take away their classes, they take away their time on the yard, and they put them in cages, and they wonder why they keep getting in trouble. And so I'm very big on criminal justice reform because there's a lot of men who shouldn't be in jail and women. And so I just want to bring that up because people like to say, Tracy, how do you know this? Okay, this is July 20th, 1999. Okay, I'm 35 years old, but I have been dealing with the criminal justice system my whole life as a child of 2 felons. My parents are both felons, okay? So I've been dealing with it on that side, and I want to change it because I want to stop continuing this cycle so that my children don't have to do the things that my dad had to do. Mm-hmm. So that's my why. And
is your dad still alive?
no, he's not. He passed away in jail. He got pancreatitis cancer, which he was an alcoholic, still in jail. They drink in jail, guys. There's drugs in jail, guys.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't stop them. It gets worse, actually.
It does, and I can contest to that. I mean,
Right.
I've been in the penitentiary. And so, yeah, it's a vicious cycle
Yes.
In there because then all you have to do is that to numb your pain. There's no mental health in there. Like, if anything, it goes worse. And honestly, I deal with a copious amount of mental health from prison.
Mm-hmm.
Like, tremendous. I mean, I was stabbed in my head. I have the scars and stitches. I got 10 stitches. I was almost killed twice in prison.
Wow.
in a year. As you know, I got a life sentence and was released on a 1-year review by the grace of God. And I've never looked back, and I continue to help and inspire and motivate people to not go down the path that I went. But I definitely deal with a lot of mental health from that.
Oh, yeah.
It's a vicious cycle, like you said. So
it's an institution, and it's horrible. And you have these young men and women going in there on a drug charge when they need to go to rehab. Then they're in there for a couple of years. Now they're criminals. Now they've learned all these things in jail just to survive. And I don't understand it. And my dad wasn't a bad person. You know, he didn't tell me all the things that he did in there. He died when I was 16. So, he didn't even make it to 50. And so I know there were bad things in there, but he always said, the worst things I ever did were in Vietnam. That's the worst things I ever did for my country. And so that just kind of makes it, wake up. So the last 20 years, what has our generation been doing? The same thing. And I want it to end.
yeah, and you got a lot of veterans going in there on petty ass because the whole war on drugs, that whole circus,
Right.
And putting veterans in, and
Cannabis even. There's veterans in cannabis for their PTSD right now.
I know, and there's still, I remember a story a couple years ago about a Marine, and I forgot what town he was in, but Oklahoma, and he was growing, and they were trying to hammer him, and I remember the protest stuff on it, but there's still so many.
Right.
It's crazy.
And it just became legal in the state 3 years ago, but my dad went to Vietnam in 70. He had PTSD in 70, right? And so he tried to use drugs to cope, got in the cycle, right? Then had to be a hustler and and a gangbanger and a drug dealer because he just wanted to feel okay, but he couldn't be. He couldn't hold down a job. He just had to feed his family, and you get caught up in that cycle because, well, you were just in Vietnam.
Yeah, and I said that on some previous shows that, like we are grateful as war fighters to have, and obviously it can be better because we're still losing brothers and sisters, but my heart truly goes out to the past war fighters because, especially like you think about, Vietnam was real bad.
And they were made to do it.
Yes, and you go back to World War II, Korea.
Yes.
They didn't have nothing like what we have. So we are grateful. We're still losing brothers and sisters. And I did a post on this actually before you got here talking about a way to end veteran suicide is definitely letting the men and women that fought for this country know they're cared about and loved. This might not be a popular opinion, and I really don't give a shit, but LGBTQ or whatever. They have a month.
They
right?
do. Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Month.
Well, we should have a Veteran Month, and I don't want that for me. I don't care. It's not about me. I don't care. I don't need it for a month. But some veteran, some man or woman that fought for this country, if they felt that love, that might be a way to end veteran suicide and pharmaceutical deaths. Right. You know, and a lot of veterans will say, well, I didn't do it for recognition. That's fine. There's fine. But what if one did?
Right.
Who cares? Who cares? What if there's one out there that by feeling good, feeling like they're cared about and proud of what they've done,
right, it
might stop suicide.
I know, and a lot of people aren't proud of what they've done, right?
Yeah.
So this is something else I don't talk about, but my youngest son's dad was Marine infantry in the Battle of Singin, 19 years old. They lost 25 men within months.
Dark Horse Marines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the things that he had to do, he's still there. And when I saw him on FaceTime Monday, Kyle, he's still there. And I don't want our son to be like that. And I bring that up because my youngest son has 2 generations of infantry, you know, and then all the men were in the military, but it's in his DNA, you know. And so if their country asks for it, my son's going to say, yep, let's do it, right? But if there's no war,
right,
there's nothing to be done. You know, what else can we train these men to do? Protect us at home, you know, give them tools. And so I just want to educate veterans so much.
You're doing it. Hey, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Y'all check out our sponsors.
This is Brian Prater, owner of Prater Roofing and Construction. Guys, listen, we're out here servicing Oklahoma and surrounding states. Definitely want to pay tribute to the men and women that fought for this country, any patriots. We service everybody. You can reach us at 405-334-7708, and we'd love to come to work for you. Thank you.
Battle on the Homefront TV. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Great conversation we're getting into, and even more so, even on, you know, it's even on talking about the PTSD and ending veteran suicide and pharmaceutical deaths, and I've said it on last shows, I know, but you know, to get away from the 22, we need to get away from the 30 a day, because the 30 a day that died from pharmaceuticals is, you know, it's bleeding into that. But you know, and another important thing I want to talk about is, you know, other toxic veterans.
Huh.
You know, when you degrade a service member for not deploying, not seeing combat, whatever it is, guess what? They kill themselves too, and a lot of them live with and I say this because I had a veteran reach out to me that was suicidal, and they were guilty. They were guilty that they didn't do enough, and they didn't feel proud. And I think it's the most ridiculous thing. And I feel like if you wrote a blank check to this country, you have more balls, man or woman, you know, than 99% of the Americans here. Yeah, and you should be proud of yourself. And I think for veterans to belittle other veterans in these issues, you know, you're not helping the suicide rate. No, you're not helping the pharmaceutical death rate.
You're not. And I think of it, if you joined and you went to boot camp and you raised your hand and you tried, you know, things happen, right? We lost people every day, almost every week. We were losing people. They were getting washed back. They were going to get med hold. I still think you're a veteran, right? Just because you might not be recognized by the federal government as a veteran if you didn't do X amount of days or whatever, I still recognize you. You tried. I respect you because look at all the people that didn't try.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, there's guys, like I have a buddy, he's a Ranger. He's been in 16 years, 16-ish probably deployments. Yeah, he's a bad
Yeah.
mofo, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was 11 years sitting at a desk all day. But here's the thing. If I needed to do that, and if I need to do that now, I'm going to do that. Because when the calling's there, regardless of what job you do. You're still part of the mission, right? And I want to tell you my mission here now. Because I'm a libertarian. And
What is a libertarian?
all right, so the Libertarian Party actually started 50 years ago when they were protesting Vietnam. So it was a bunch of hippies and veterans saying, we don't want to fight a rich man's war, right? And so it's taken 50 years, but now we're kind of ramping it up again because a Republican sent us to war and then a Democrat sent us to another war. And let's not forget, Trump wasn't a Republican. He just said, hey, GOP, I'm going to come be president and you're going to push me. And he was. And he beat their system, okay? And so libertarians are all your freedoms all the time. That Constitution that we swore to uphold, that's what it is. And so what I'm good at is educating libertarians on veteran problems and educating veterans on libertarian solutions, right? So, for instance, if we decriminalize cannabis on a federal level, they don't have to push all those meds anymore. They don't have all those overdoses. We don't have 25-year-old veterans dying from just taking their meds incorrectly, or 65-year-old veterans. There's an option. There's a healthy way. So that's just the level at this that it's going to go. And we were on a podcast on Monday with the Libertarian presidential candidate and the Libertarian national chair, the old one. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So they're listening to us.
Yeah.
The Democrats and Republicans, they're not going to listen to us. Why? Because they make money off of us.
That is true. Politics are just a dirty. It's hard to navigate. Right. I try to do my best with it. I'm not as educated as I should be in it all, but I do know that. And I was on a live earlier, and someone was like, "Did you vote for Trump or something like that?" And I said, "Or do you like Trump, whatever, or something like that?" And I said, "Dude, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Biden. Right. If Biden cares about the men and women that fought for this country and rights for that and doesn't want to take my stuff away, I want the president to win. Right. I want him to do good and to carry this country that we fought for." You know, I don't get wrapped up in all the bullshit. You know, like I care about the men and women here, the patriots, the Homefront. It's what we fought for. Yes. I don't want him to fail. Right. You know, you want him to do good. Do I think he's a idiot pedophile? Probably so. Yeah. But that's my opinion. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I want him to do good for our country. Right.
But I served 8 years underneath him, okay, when he was vice president. Mm-hmm. He didn't do good for our country. Yeah. He didn't. He made it worse. Yeah. I didn't get paychecks when he was. I lost my TA. Like, it was horrible. We pushed out all these good men and women. But you want
him to do good.
I do want him to be good. But by his track record.
Highly unlikely, right? But no. You want him to do good.
Would I want a commander of 8 years, complete garbage? Would we want him to be our commander again and trust us into battle? No. Yeah. We would fight tooth and nail to get him from being in command. And so I feel like we're being failed because he's already failed us. Mm-hmm. And so all these veterans, that headache that you're feeling, that's all of our energy in the air because it's heavy. He was just here, Kyle. Yeah, he was in Oklahoma.
I did see that.
You know, so I mean,
I seen some crazy stuff on the news. Yeah, some wild stuff.
Yeah, it's a crazy time to be alive.
Yeah, it is. It's a good time to be alive.
It is. I'm happy every day that I'm alive, though.
I thank God every night.
Yes.
Every night, and I think that's one of the most beautiful things when you're truly grateful, and you can still deal with all the mental health we all have, and I think everybody has a certain amount of mental health and. You still can be grateful for life and cherish
definitely.
It. So
definitely.
What else you got going?
So we actually have protests at the Oklahoma County Jail, and so they're talking about how the stuff's so badly in there. So what we want to say is, hey, all those people who are in there for victimless crimes. So say your tag was expired, and then you had a warrant out for your arrest, and now you're in the county jail because it's $500 to get out. Let's get them out. so we can not have bed bugs, so we can not have people losing their arms. So
Oklahoma County Jail is a death sentence.
Yes.
I was there 1 week and was almost murdered in that jail.
Wow. Yeah.
They tried to pop my locks. Probably 10 people tried to get in my stuff, and I sat there for 9 hours holding my door closed while no guard came by, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Worse than Iraq almost.
Very bad.
Yeah,
Very
like-
bad. That's what I'm saying. Like, I deal with the same.
Battle on the home front.
You
know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I deal with a tremendous amount of hell just from jail, and so it's a vicious cycle. It's like, it's frustrating. It's so frustrating of something that we fight for so much. The home front, we all fought for it. And it's like, dude, when are we all going to just start caring about the men and women here? And
And so what's common in the veteran community is also common in the black community, right? And so that's where I'm different, is I'm from Detroit, right? I grew up with black people. In the military, I hung out with black people. I like black people. I'm not scared of black people. And so in Oklahoma, it's almost like there's like a huge separation. It's almost like it brings it back 30 years for me, honestly. And so that's where I feel like I also...
In what sense? How?
It's just, if someone's black, it's, they're BLM. I don't agree with them. They're BLM. I'm like, no, they're not BLM. They're just a black person who wants their Second Amendment rights and gets it just like you do, just because they don't agree with you. And so...
Who are you hanging out with that thinks that black guys are BLM? Because I hang out with a bunch of people and nobody says that.
This isn't the people I hang out with. This is the people who are in leadership roles in the state of Oklahoma and their constituents, right? And so the people I hang out with were armed up next to men and women of all nationalities, of all everything. And so for me, I laugh at it. And I'm like, they can have their march. They can say what they want. I don't have to agree with it.
For sure. Without a doubt. Hey, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Y'all check out our sponsors. Battle on the Homefront TV, we're back. So what else you got?
Well, I just want to talk about cannabis because
Let's
cannabis saved my life. When I was active duty, I had migraines every day. My office would keep the lights off because I just couldn't have the lights on, so bad. And I just want to talk about the 6-pill combo I was on before. Lexapro, Klonopin, Flexeril, Trazodone, Compazine, and Motrin. When I was on these medications, I was suicidal. And I'm a logical person. I literally walked myself into mental health and said, hey, I thought about killing myself today. Something's going on. Oh, well, the medication you're on might cause that. Why would you give that to me?
Right.
You know what I mean? This is the first time I'm on some kind of medication like this. And so that was Cymbalta. And so I realized I was alone in this, right? Because my PTSD, and I had 2 traumatic events happened, but the one that I want to talk about today is I lost my sister. And she got a brain aneurysm, and I had to take her off life support. And so me and my brother-in-law got to see her last breath. And my sister, since my parents were addicts and felons and not there for me, my sister was my life. And so seeing her take that last breath really messed with me. And Kyle, I went from #1 NCO in the wing to I couldn't make it to work.
Yeah.
But once a week almost. I just couldn't.
How'd your command treat you?
Oh, they failed me, I would say.
Toxic command is a real big issue in all the military right now.
And it sucked because I was that superstar before I was at the wing, and I had to go back to the med group, and they shoved me into a corner, and they kind of tried to shut me up, and then it was, oh, now we're medically retiring you because you're not that superstar anymore. We're just, and so I got the system that I worked 10 and a half years for fail me, and I still gave another year while, because the system works. It takes a year to get medically retired. And so I advocate, but here's the thing. I sent you a picture of my airman, right? She had the same sweatshirt on I have. So my message is still in my airmen who are now NCOs, who are going to be senior NCOs and officers. And so they're still watching me. And so I know they might not be able to get to use their voice, but they're listening. And that's important to me.
Oh, for sure. Without a doubt.
know?
Without a doubt. Yeah, toxic leadership, I'm starting to realize. I didn't really realize it
Right, but now?
But now it's like, ooh, that's an issue. And that as well as, there's one service member that kills themselves a week.
Right.
That, and so I think that's also, and a lot of that is toxic leadership.
And I was medical, and I worked 24-hour shifts on call, and I would have to call in when those people committed suicide. And death is so real in the military. It's an everyday thing. And so I feel like life is more precious for me that way, because I just see someone happy and then the next day they're gone. And so I just want people to take care of their community. You know what I mean? Whatever your community is, if it's the veteran community, or if it's the church community or whatever it is, just take care of those people. Just listen to them. That's all we got to do.
Yeah. And even when you're talking about your combination of pharmaceuticals that you use, it's really so many pharmaceuticals, they cause psychosis. I know several people, and it's horrible, but I know several people that their spouse committed suicide, and most of the ones I talk to say, well, he was on like a crazy amount of pharmaceuticals, and that's why it throws you into a psychosis. Like, it's absolutely crazy.
I wanted to drive on incoming traffic, but I knew, like, I'm such a logical person. I knew something was wrong, but some people don't. No, and that scares me. Yeah, and that scares me.
Yeah, I think that's I've had I have suicide attempts, and there are several other times, though, that I knew that I was sick, right? And so I spent, multiple trips on the 8th floor at the VA hospital, right. But it takes.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm here too. Thank you. But it takes a lot to get to that point of you don't want, but you come to a crossroad. You're just like tired, and something inside you says, "No more, bro. You can get rid of this," and so to be able to just even call for help is like a crucial thing, and it takes a strong person, but and a logic person, but sometimes when you're mixed with those pharmaceuticals, you don't have that. You don't have that extra voice in your head that's saying, no, don't do it, just get help before you make that decision, because it is a permanent solution to a temporary situation.
It really is.
And
it's a real thing in our community.
Yeah.
It's real, and it's something that a lot of families can relate to. And I feel like, why isn't the media talking about it? They talk about everything else, but this has been continuing for decades, And so I just think what you're doing and how you're being vulnerable, because you are a man and because you are a strong man, you are helping so many other men. Okay? Like, you help me be vulnerable, and I appreciate that, because I need to be vulnerable for them too. And so, again, I am so thankful you're here.
I appreciate it. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here.
Yes.
And so you have do you have two podcasts? No, you have one podcast, right?
Yeah. So Toklahoma. Yes. Yeah. So I do a weekly podcast. It's mostly about cannabis, but it's libertarian too. So if you're in the cannabis industry, if you're a veteran, or if you just like freedom, come talk to me and we'll get you on a podcast. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the one that I was on.
Yes.
A couple weeks ago.
Yes, we were over at AWH with Jordan.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good show.
It was. That was great. Yes, I love it.
Well, what else you got?
Well, we can talk about the American Legion.
Let's go. Let's get
All
on
right.
that.
So, I had a friend. He's a brother in arms. He invited me to the American Legion for coffee with a veteran, and this has been a couple months now. And they're just great men. And Sarge told me he was in Vietnam 3 times.
Yeah, they had crazy deployments back then. They had crazy deployments back then.
Right, and these are just great men, and I love it. They have spaghetti dinners. They have job fairs. They have the VA there that you can talk to and help with your claim, you know. And so just go to your local American Legion. I go to Post 12 out in War Acres. Come see me anytime there. I'm there Wednesday morning from 7:30 to 10. So, yeah, I want our younger generation to get there, because at least if you're there, you feel home there, right? Even if you don't know anybody, you know.
No, I did. That was the first time that I ever went. And, you know, I was like, and I asked this question. I was like, well, what's the difference in American Legion and a VFW? Obviously, a VFW is Veterans of Foreign Wars. And then so the American Legions for people that maybe that didn't deploy, that still need all the resources and help that they can. And I noticed that there wasn't a lot of whippersnappers in there. You know, you're probably the youngest person in there. But and so I can see that, you know, there has to be a gap there. And so they need more young volunteers, this generation of war fighters. And so I think it's an important part. And when I seen it, I was like, you know, like, this is like, I'm heavily in the veteran community, and that's the first time I ever been to it. And I'm up there building a memorial in Bethany, and didn't even think about the American Legion and being.
But now you have all these guys who will do that, because it's literally community service, and it's chartered by Congress, and they have all this money, and they just give back to veterans and veteran families. So cool. It's just another avenue for us to take care of veterans. And hey, you guys want to go volunteer for this? Hey, do you want to go to this memorial thing? These guys, that's what they do, because they're servant leaders, and they have the time. You know, because what do our friends do? We're always busy, right? I got a kid out there, because life doesn't stop. No. But they have the time, and so they need us just as much as we need them, for sure.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Well, please plug away. I thank you for being on my show.
Yes.
I look forward to being on your show again. Project IGY6 is dropping, so
definitely.
I definitely want to come on the show and talk about that, and then talk about the 2 strains that we created as well. So please plug away.
All right. So the biggest thing I want to plug is the Libertarian Veteran Caucus. We have our first meeting on Sunday, and we want the veterans to come together, because we're so not political, but we need to be political, because we are the biggest voice out there who has experience from the government, and we are weapons. We don't need to be armed up, but we're just weapons ourselves. So come see us. It's LP Vets on Instagram and Twitter, and then Libertarian Veteran Caucus on Facebook.
Well, I thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Hey, make sure y'all subscribe to Battle on the Homefront TV. And I want to leave you with one of my favorite sayings. If you can't beat the fear, do it scared, even when your voice shakes. See y'all next week.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's the handwritten letters from home. It's the sleepless nights alone.